The second part of our Lords of the End Times preview is here, and this time we have Thanquol's final quest battle. First things first, we have a handful of new units to take a look at. First, we have the main man himself, Thanquol. Naturally, he's atop his Bone Ripper mount, so this seems to be his final form, which makes sense given this is a preview of his final battle. He has a pretty stacked stat card, so let's go through everything one by one. First off, melee power, and you're looking at very respectable stats across the board with moderate armor, decent melee stats, and excellent armor piercing damage. Add on the fairly high speed and charge bonus, and this guy's going to hit like a truck when he makes contact and keep the pain coming for his full stay. His defenses aren't the best in the world, so you do have to be a little bit cautious, but that's where his other abilities come in. His missile power may be short range, but you have plenty of ammo and a frankly ungodly amount of damage. Each volley deals an insane amount of explosive damage capable of wiping entire units of infantry out in moments. Friendly fire is a little bit of a risk with, well, all the fire, but it hardly matters when you're playing as the Skaven. He also has access to a mix of these Skaven spells of Plague and Ruin, including Warp Lightning, Plague, and Wither, which are some of the best spells in their respective laws. Lastly, he also has abilities to grant himself 33% ward save for 33 seconds, which is kind of insane, along with an explosive summon for Storm Vermin. All of this adds up to make him into a ranged focused powerhouse with extra casting ability alongside a huge threat in melee should the occasion call for it. Screech Vermin King, from what I understand, which as usual is being baby birded to me by Monster Bound, is pretty much just a bunch of insane Skaven in a trench coat and essentially one of the few demons of the Horned Rat. Regardless, as a unit, this lad is an absolute melee powerhouse. You have excellent melee stats and massive damage that is armor piercing, magical, poisonous, discouraging, and comes with a bonus versus large. You also have extremely high speed and charge bonus, so he enters combat with quite a big bang. And lastly, you have Unbreakable, so he will stay fighting until the very final moment. Yes, the armor is pretty low, but with 6-7 defense, 10% ward save, 20% physical resistance, 15% missile resistance, 10% spell resistance, and over 10,000 HP, it's still going to take him a very, very long time to go down. To sum it up in a sentence, this guy slices through more or less anything in melee in no time flat, and is very hard to kill whilst doing so. Then, on top of that, you also have a mix of all these Skaven laws, once again featuring some of the greatest hits from them all. And lastly, he has abilities to grant nearby allies Unbreakable and reduce the leadership of enemies, along with the same explosive summon for Storm Vermin as Thanquol. This is a seriously scary hero, but what else should you expect from a literal demon of the Horned Rat? The first of the new units is the Doomflayer Gauntlet Storm Fiends. These are pretty much what you get if you made Rat Ogres good. I kid, but base Rat Ogres are one of those units that seems really cool but tends to fall a little bit flat in practice. These lads sacrifice a little speed and charge bonus to become far deadlier in sustained combat, along with being a lot harder to kill. They have a ton of armor, so even with their low defense, they can take quite a few hits before they go down. They also see a huge boost to their melee attack and armor piercing damage, along with a bonus versus infantry. This combined with their frenzy makes them extremely deadly during the earlier stages of battle when they're at full strength and frosty. They're a terrifying melee monster capable of tearing enemies to pieces, especially when working alongside some infantry to take the brunt out of incoming damage. They're still plenty fast for keeping up with most targets, but the focus is clearly more on sustained melee, so get them into combat and leave them there. As long as they're racking up kills and not taking too much damage, they're doing just fine. And lastly, the Rattling Cannon Storm Fiends. These drop a little armor and a good chunk of melee power from the Doomflayer Gauntlets, but in exchange they have dual-wield Rattling guns and honestly, brings a tear to my eye. This grants them moderate range, high fire rate missile power capable of cutting through most defenses in no time. Especially with the suppressing fire, you can keep enemies in the line of fire for a very long time, giving you ample time to pick them apart, whether you're talking clumps of infantry or single targets. Their ammo is fairly limited, and I am praying Ikit Claw gets the ability to make it unlimited, but until that point, they can still do some decent work in melee. Just make sure you get the most out of their ammo before you bother, as it will be far easier and safer. Outside of this handful of new units, you also have some new cutscenes, including this one to set the scene, featuring some classic insane Skaven ramblings.
A stalk upon the warp moon, you dismal rat filth, for it leers at its demise. The great horned one has drawn it close, making plain his favor for Thanquol. The very council will grovel before my genius, for I was the one to see their weapon engine finished atop a corpse mound of rivals and pawns. Too late now, the surface dwellers scramble to deny my triumph. Keep them away from my engine, you pathetic flea dregs! No one shall keep me from gnawing on the warp moon's carcass. Come, fool meat. Flock closer together. Make an easier target for the hail of fire!
After this, you are thrust into a survival battle where you must defend the contraption whilst it prepares to fire. The forces of the dwarves, the Empire and the Hyles are sent to stop you, so you'll be fighting a battle on 3 fronts, which makes things pretty chaotic, even with the relatively defensible position. Since this is a survival battle, you also have access to summonable reinforcements, unit upgrades and replenishment abilities. There are a number of reinforcement points across your territory, so you have plenty of options when shoring up your defences. Naturally, the moment you close in on the finish line, things go awry with the arrival of a 4th foe.
Be that the scaly pests are here in such terrible droves. They breed nest half a world away. And why did my engine stop charging? The Toad Priest is tampering with it. Somehow, kill him! Kill him!
This will require you to extend beyond your borders while still maintaining your defences. Or you can go full Skaven and cheese snipe them with warp cannons and warp Jezzails with maxed out stats. Once taken out, you'll just have to hold on for 30 more seconds, and then...
It worked! See? Just as I planned it! Scuttle free, little man things, yes! Let all know that torrent of warp doom marks the reign of Grey Seer Thanquol!
So it seems Thanquol's endgame is raining warpstone from the moon onto the world, so I'd be curious to see if this affects the campaign map similar to the Archeon Crisis we saw a little while back. Fingers crossed. Now, since I'm not allowed to give you any opinions on this battle, I'm going to tread very carefully and just say I had fun whilst playing, but I also haven't played a survival battle in quite a long time, so it was a cool change of pace. The battle map was also a unique setup with lots of choke points with plenty of cover to even the odds when it came to enemy missiles. The skybox is pretty cool with the giant moon on the horizon, almost a spooky face drawn on with craters, very nice. The music here also seemed new, but I could be mistaken because 90% of the time I have my game muted, so feel free to let me know what you think in the comments.
The shadows! For the Vermintide!
Regardless, I had a lot of fun playing the battle through a couple of times, and the new units were all a good time, performance-wise, visually, and audibly. The Doomflare gauntlets in particular had some very meaty impact sounds that I very much enjoyed. I'm very excited to see the rest of these Skaven units, along with Thanquol's mechanics, along with everything else coming with Lords of the End Times. But let me know what you are thinking in the comments down below. And if you want more End Times content, then check out this video all about Boris Todbringer's campaign.